shit, what a break.
Hello.
We're on summer vacation, I guess, that's just the way it goes sometimes.
We go dark sometimes, as they say.
Even our buddy Tim from Call Out Culture, he's like, put out a new episode. And I'm just thinking like, oh yeah, like when the fuck was the last time we put out an episode?
Yeah. Listen, if we got paid for this,
Yeah.
it
Sometimes
doesn't always happen the same time of the year. I think
does
that we
it?
got a lot of shit going on. Yeah. Then we
Well,
always get like we get an extra wind in October, you know. But listen,
well,
even when I get the YouTube updates and stuff, some people still listen. So thank whoever that is.
yeah,
So
we're letting people catch up to the catalog basically. Uh
exactly.
yeah, I mean, listen, life happens and who gives a shit? Like I've said it 100 times probably out of like the 300 or I don't know how many episodes we have. If this felt like a responsibility, then we probably just wouldn't even do it.
Of course not.
It's like I don't need this shit. So at the end of
I'm
the
even supposed to
episode,
be here today.
what we're gonna do is we're gonna save the end for some summer movies.
Yes.
I'll talk about the movie The Surfer, which was interesting, the new Nicolas Cage movie. So we'll hit that up at the end and stuff. But let's just kick off let's kick off the episode with something that you want to talk about, Langdon. Actually, before we start, what do we have
Yeah.
planned for your horror hang, right? So we're gonna do a little horror hang July 12th. What do you envision besides a lot of sausage?
So much sausage. It didn't listen, I got a new TV, nice TV.
Yeah.
Got a bunch of horror 4Ks. Some of them I haven't even cracked open with. That I collect these things. I enjoy watching them and shit. Why not share it with some friends and shit while I have the house to myself and could be loud as late as possible, you know,
Absolutely. Yeah.
10 p.m. tops, then everybody's
Yeah.
out.
Well, Parker don't last that long, so by
Yeah,
10 p.m. he'll be
I figure
definitely
we
home.
just have some food, and then I'll put out some of the choice cuts that I got. But like I said, like I get these. I've been enjoying the 4K hunt and trying to get a lot of things that you know they're never streaming anywhere, or they're on Amazon for rent it for $5 or whatever. And I'm like, these are most of them are movies that I watch every year at least, once and shit like that. So why not have them in the best possible format? And it's fun. I go to different sites or whatever. Sometimes I'll resell it on eBay if I'm like, you know what, I really don't want that one because
Off
there's
off the
value.
off the top, is there anything that you've been looking for that in particular, like something like a white
I
whale?
have a couple of things that are like really sexy beast. I
Oh wow.
really
Yeah.
want. And I don't think there's a US 4K release of it. Blu-ray is like 100 some odd dollars or something because sometimes these things go out and then they're out of print, and then a lot of places won't even deal with. I can't like a lot like anything like, not that I get a lot of Disney shit or something, but like say like they own a lot of franchises and crap. Like a lot of
They
places
do,
just straight
yeah.
up like we're not putting we're not dealing with physical media anymore. And I like having it. I like having some of these ones that I watch all the time at my leisure, like I said, in the best possible format. And I think, we're as streaming, and I love streaming and shit like that, but you see like the Netflixes and stuff like that, they're just interested in producing a lot of like subpar content, to be honest, to just put out their shit. And you're not gonna get yeah, Tubi's good and stuff, but the Tubi picture is usually not great. You got commercials and stuff, and they don't always
Yeah,
have
I mean,
anything.
you picked a
So
good one. Sexy Beast is a good random one, like from God, when the fuck did that come out? Like, was that like
I think early thoughts, right? I think.
okay, that makes sense. Yeah, because I remember just reading about it, and it was still, I think it was still in the universe of like rentals, where you're like, oh, I want to watch this Ben
Yeah,
Kingsley movie, and might have been around the time also when he did House of Sand and Fog, where he was, stuck on the brain too, where I'm like, oh, yeah, he's still doing some good work.
Great
you
movie,
know.
man. Great
But
movie. But yeah, there's some shit like that that I never see it ever on services and stuff. And then certain things, like I got the Day of the Dead 4K with uh the three cuts of that shit. I had to get like those bangers, the Evil Dead shit like
well,
that. Some stuff lends itself and like really improves my picture. And then sometimes like I got basket case 4K because I love basket case. Having a basket case of 4K
mm.
is really like
So that's an
it's not. Yeah.
interesting pivot there. So uh I really wanted to do the 40-year anniversary of Day of the Dead because I feel like that
Mm,
would be a lot of fun to watch in movies. And what I mentioned was I remember I'm sure I've mentioned it before, but I remember watching it in Queens for the first time in 1985 as a double feature with A View to a Kill. So I don't really know who put that double feature together, but it was like
wow.
the last Roger Moore movie with Grace Jones and Christopher Walken and the Duran Duran on the soundtrack, and then Day of the Dead, and I was just, I was a big Bond guy. Like I wanted to be Roger Moore.
I love Roger.
I wanted to kill people and get my dick sucked in like, fucking Prague or something. You know what I mean? Like it just, I'm like watching this guy. I'm like, this dude is like, he's banging the smoking hottest chicks on the planet. And he's like murking like three, four dudes, like, daily, probably,
Yeah, I watched For Your Eyes Only, I think was on HBO or early cable like all the fucking time.
That's a
I
good one.
remember that was like my favorite. I
That
watched
was
that
one of the
shit
better
for
ones. Yeah.
I love Roger Moore because he had like a campy kind of quality to him, which like I embrace and shit. I didn't really give a fuck. I don't give a fuck about really any other James Bonds, to be
Well,
honest with you. I heard the new ones are great, but I just not interested.
I think I tapped out by then. What I did follow, so because when you're a younger guy, and we were in the age range of enjoying Roger Moore, but of course, people older than us being like, "Oh, Sean Connery," and I'm like, "All right." And then I would watch like Doctor No or Goldfinger, and I'm like, "This shit is boring as fuck." Like,
Terrible.
yeah, like it wasn't like, and I get it. I guess if you're old and that's what you remember, you're like, oh,
Of course.
here's this Asian guy that throws his hat. It's like
Yeah,
cool.
no.
But
It
then
it
I followed it into Timothy Dalton, and he did two movies. In
mhm,
1987, he made The Living Daylights, which I
right.
liked a lot, and then he made License to Kill, where Robert Davi was the bad guy. So I thought that
Nice.
was cool. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But going to talking about Day of the Dead 40-year anniversary, you just did Friday the 13th, right?
Yeah, they played it at the AMC. And the smaller, not the IMAX size place and stuff, but full house. It was really cool.
You took the wife and kid.
Took the whole family. Yep.
He probably hated it. Did Aiden
I think
hated
he
it?
fell asleep a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. It's
I'm pretty
very
sure.
slow.
It's definitely not my we discussed this on Facebook. I think, it's definitely my Friday 4 and I guess 6 are probably my two favorites. And but any chance you get, I can't stress to see in one of these old horror movies in a really quality picture like that. And especially something like for me, I'm watching like every little
Yeah.
minuscule detail of the screen, like there when they break out Monopoly to play. I'm looking at what other games are on the shelf. Like I'm honing in on like on
Th-
all this shit because it's right up in front of me and it's sounding incredible and seeing the Friday 13 coming out at you, the opening credits and shit on the big screen was pretty dope. I gotta say. That
that's the
was
whole
like a
thing.
goosebump.
That's the right. So like I get that part of it,
Yeah.
because it is one of my least favorites. But there's something about watching it in a theater again where it's just like just that experience, which I don't think I've ever seen the original in a theater. So I think the first one I probably saw in a theater, man, it really had, I don't even think it was four, to be honest with you. It was probably five.
I don't even think I saw five. I think six might have been, or maybe I saw five in there. I don't remember.
I just remember being very confused watching five, obviously, where you were just like, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah.
and then six, then it turns into something completely completely different. But yeah, I mean that certain things really hit, and that 40-year anniversary of Day of the Dead. But that's another movie, right? You could say
I
Day of the
got the
Dead.
Blu-ray of Day of the Dead. I think the Scream Factory show version of it, and I've been reading somewhere because that was the big thing too. I'm like, okay, only the Blu-ray's out, but this looks like something Vinegar might get their hands on or whatever. Do I want to get the Blu-ray or do I hold out for a 4K? But I've read somewhere that the original prints or something like that, there's something with it that they're not going to be able to ever give it a 4K treatment or release Day of the
What is a
Dead.
normal price for something like that?
Um, something like that, a Blu-ray like that, it's under $20,
Oh,
you
okay, yeah,
know.
yeah, I didn't know. That's a really good.
And
I was thinking 50.
no, unless you're getting like into, like a collector, like Arrow just put out, well, not just, but within the last year, I think Friday the 13th, Jason Goes to Hell and Jason X, and in this like big packaging and still like if you're a hunter for it and shit, when the sales are going on, when Barnes and Noble does their shit, Criterion has these good two flash sales at least like twice a year and shit like that. So the whole process, it's like record fucking hunting, man, in the modern age for me. Like it's kind of fun. I know
Yeah,
there's nothing I hate to have, you know what I mean? I don't need to collect like that and shit, but I want the bangers, the choice cuts, like shit. I have like Night of the Demons and shit. I know every Halloween I'm gonna fucking watch Night of the Demons, no question.
yeah. There is something. I was listening to somebody knocking Spotify today, and I get it. you know
Hmm.
um and then this other person, Zilla Rock, another guy that does a podcast with, Tim, Call Out Culture. He had a really interesting Instagram video where he was promoting his new single. He's like, listen, he's like, I know this song is out on Spotify and all these other streaming sites, like where it's like, yeah, whatever, you get it. And maybe
Hmm.
if you have time, you'll check it out in passing. But like, I think he said Spotify should be like a billboard or an advertisement for you to just basically buy this album. It's like, okay, like
Hmm.
I really fuck with this. I'm going to spend money on this, and that's maybe what the streaming sites are. You have that, but you're like, I really want this like new Night of the Demons type thing. So I completely
Yeah.
get it.
I mean, for our music appetites are so voracious, it's like
Yeah,
I have to consume it all, but I still have, a 1 terabyte hard drive of all my MP3s because like I say to my son and shit, I'm like, say Spotify went down tomorrow.
yeah,
You don't have any music,
yeah. You'd have
you know.
to. Yeah, what would you do,
You
right?
go to
Like you would.
Apple or whatever. But again, like just like streaming and just like this physical media, you don't own any of it. If it goes away, all those playlists you've been slaving away, like it's all
Yeah,
gone. You know what I mean?
you'd have to go borrow a cassette from Parker.
And gladly.
Um. Anyway,
Yeah.
I just wanted to shout out, like the last episode we did, we were talking about, I went out to that the Chiller convention, right?
Yes.
And I remember, I don't know if I told the story, but like the guy from Big Trouble in Little China was there, right? I forgot his name. I'm sure young Jamie could pull it up.
Mm,
And he was the guy that right, he was the lightning guy, I'm pretty sure.
I think so.
That up. Yeah, young Jamie.
Is that the guy that died recently?
Peter Kwong. Yeah. So Peter Kwong, I forget what storm he was, right? What storm was he? But anyway, Peter Kwong, he was also in like the Golden Child.
Mm.
He was there. I had no idea he was there. So when we walked by his table, he wasn't there, and I was like, oh damn, I would have liked to have physically just seen him and been like, oh, all right.
Right.
And we were leaving, and he just happened to be walking to the elevator, and I was like, holy shit. First of all, way smaller than I thought he was gonna be. I don't,
Yeah.
you see those guys in Big Trouble in Little China, you're thinking like these guys
Yeah.
are like 8 feet tall. And I saw him and I was like, hey, Peter, I was like, you're a fucking legend. Like, just that movie is such a big deal. Like it really is such a big, huge part of life. And shook his hand, then he went into the elevator and he was like, "Yeah, thank you." And he like disappeared. And then he fucking
$10.
and then he dies. He sent me a bill. He's like, "This is my Venmo." And then he ends up dying like a week or two later. I was like, yo, that's crazy. Like, I can't believe I just like randomly saw him. But it's like, man, you see these guys at conventions and all bets are off. You never know?
Oh yeah. It's I've said before, it's like a people zoo, man. Sometimes
Yeah.
I don't want to pay $50 to meet you or sign my shit, but just want to see what's cooking over there. Like, oh, look at that guy. Remember that guy?
If I would have seen him I probably would have, just because it's like, when would I ever get that chance? And
Right.
also John Ratzenberger was there from Cheers, and
Mm,
just
you're a big
recently,
Cheers
George,
fan. Yeah.
I'm a huge Cheers fan. And if it was like Cliff is whatever,
Mm.
but if it was like, trying to think who, like Ted Danson for sure, I would have to
Well,
get.
John Ratzenberger's you look at like that's the kind of guy that should be here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. George
yeah,
Wendt pops up, Ted Danson, Shelley
yeah.
Long. You're like, oh, that now we're like, this is like A-list convention level for
Yeah,
sure. Ted
yeah.
Danson, especially.
Ted Danson for sure. That's something that ties you over. But man, big fan of George Wendt. And
Yeah.
I dipped into a lot of those. I went into like YouTube, and you're familiar with the show somewhere, right?
Which show?
Which Cheers.
Oh, yeah, yeah, sure.
So like every episode that it starts off or like whenever he walks in, it's just like he
Hmm.
says that line, and it's just, man, it's so good. He was just always so funny. Like, my favorite line, he walked in and they're like, "Norm, what are you up to?" And he's like, "My ideal weight if I was 6'10". And I was just like, it's just something so small, like the very like
Yeah.
every beginning of Cheers like had that open, and it was almost like a comic strip. Like it was kind of like this like corny intro and stuff, and I loved it.
Hmm.
He was in a bunch of stuff, and then he was in a Masters of Horror episode, which I thought was very good.
Which one
Um,
was he in?
he was in one called Family.
God, I saw those so long ago. Some stick in my
Yeah,
head.
that's a
But
good one. Yeah.
yeah.
And the uncle, I always forget it, Jason Sudeikis, Ted Lasso.
Wow. Did not
Yeah,
know that.
yeah, yeah. Like when you look at him randomly, you're like, oh, I could see the resemblance.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I think Jason has done interviews with him there and telling stories, and so shout out to George Wendt. Just
If
wanted to
every alcoholic could be as pleasant and affable
That's right.
as
Yeah,
Norm.
right. What a thing to aspire. You're like, you know what? You're like, if you're drunk like this, I want to hang out with you.
Yeah, exactly. They don't
Pretty
come
much.
around like that usually.
Yo, there was another episode that I thought was really funny that revolves around Carla. And first of all, her being the sex symbol of the show, it's like, I mean, that's so good.
Yeah.
But my she like, right, her mom made pretend she was dying, so Carla would name one of her kids Benito Mussolini, and I was like, man, it's just so funny because it was like the
Yeah.
the first name of the father side, and the surname of like the mother side, and then
Hmm.
Sam was like, why is that a big deal? And like, what's your father's name? Benito. What's your mom's last name? Mussolini. And he was like, all right, I can see why that's a problem. She like fakes
Yeah.
her being terminal, and man, there's so many good things, so many good episodes, and
It's not easy for a sitcom to age well, but that show's still funny.
yeah, yeah, I watch it, and I think Karen has no interest whatsoever. So I
Hmm.
look I look like a mental patient because I'm like laughing out loud and stuff. So, but what do you got?
Um, well, since we, last spoke and stuff, we both saw the new Final Destination, right?
Yeah,
I'm a big that up. I had a great time. I thought that still holds firm in one of the greatest horror franchises of all time as far as consistency. I thought it was really good. Had a good time. You liked it?
Fucking loved it.
Yeah.
I just had this conversation today. A friend of mine sent me a message. He was like, "Oh, I finally saw Final Destination." He's like, "Man, what a mess, but it was still a lot of fun." I'm thinking like, I fucking ate it up. Like I just, first of all, the rest of those movies, it's not like you're watching The Godfather. They're pretty ridiculously, silly movies. You could make a really good argument for the first one that was like
Hmm.
unique and cool. But I'll tell you,
Second
it
one of the greatest sequels of all in horror
I
history, I think.
think so. I think so too. I really, maybe it's just I was just eating it all. Everything hit on me. I it might be my favorite of the six. It was just so much fun. I thought the kills were extra brutal. I thought the plot wasn't easy to decipher. It didn't really feel like I knew what was happening, and I thought that open was
Hmm.
just as good as the log.
They got a lot of pressure because their opening is so, you know, big in all these films. It's a big moment of the thing, so it's a lot of pressure. But like, I knew I was like, it's kind of like, okay, I think we're in good hands here because I wasn't sure because I know this thing's been in production for like a long time. I remember, I think I saw it coming up on IMDb and maybe like COVID times and shit, But and you never know how that's gonna pan out and shit, because a lot of people, different people start working on it. The longer it takes to whatever, but yeah, it was fun. Listen, it's a perfect popcorn movie. It was.
That's what
I'm
it
not
is.
looking for Citizen Kane. I had a great time, and that's all I really was expecting.
And a bunch of
I wasn't
curveballs.
expecting A24, you know,
I thought it had great
artwork.
curveballs.
Hmm.
I thought it had great curveballs. Like there wasn't, the brother and then this and it just like I thought it was just fantastic. Um, I I would say one, two, and six are the best. Three is really good. Four is the least good.
Four's the worst one, and it's still watchable
Yeah,
compared to a lot of shit we're seeing. Like, I bet you if I rewatch it again with some of the shit I've watched this year, I'm like, well, it wasn't that bad.
it's pretty solid. And the
Yeah.
thing, also shout out to Tony Todd. I mean, like they gave him that
Mm,
when you see
that was
him,
heavy,
that was heavy. Like it really is. And I know by now
heavy.
people have talked it 100 times, but you see him and he's obviously not well. And then they kind of just let
Yeah.
him do his thing. And he's like, he's like, I intend to like live like that whole thing that he said. And you're like, whoa, that's super heavy in the middle of this
Well,
movie. And
you're almost knowing. Go ahead.
no, yeah, it just like, what's happening. And it just, yeah, I don't know. I thought it was a really effective element and just he really obviously he sold it because he's that's what he sold but and then
His
just
little
his
the
his
monologue works for the film, but yeah, when you take a step outside it, knowing what he's going through
and the
and
origin too of
how the
like
film is, it's about death and death
yeah
coming for you and shit. So it has this, yeah, that was heavy.
but the origin too right that you get wrapped you get that and like his how
Hmm.
where he comes from and you're like oh that's I thought that was just really smart writing. I thought the ending was cool. Yeah, big fan.
That was good shit. What about you?
uh
What do you got?
I got, I wanted to just knock, you want to talk about certain things. What is the new fascination with like Popeye and Mickey Mouse movies that are just like what?
IP, free IP, public domain, low rent. They can get these things. They're public domain, right? These things. They went to like Steamboat Willie or whatever. That version of Mickey Mouse becomes public domain. You're making a horror movie. You think you're going to tie it in with that, and it's not going to cost you nothing. Just like all those movies you watch, like you watch horror movies, and they might be watching a horror movie on TV. It's always Night of the Living Dead because that
Yes,
he lost all the rights on that, and
yeah.
anybody could use it. So
I
I
I
think
I didn't
all
know
that
that.
shit, that's all it is them getting their hands on something that they can get for free. And they always, well, I've I've never seen any of these fucking Winnie the Pooh, whatever the fuck movies. I know they're not meant to be like incredible, but they look really stupid, and the ratings on them look like nobody's enjoying them. I don't know.
But how, like, I'm thinking, how is it that the Toxic Avenger that comes out August 29th in theaters, I can't wait to watch
Finally,
that. But like, how is it that they were having such a hard time and these movies get fucking like honestly, I don't understand. How is that possible? Maybe because they wanted like a theatrical, maybe because they maybe there's
they're really
more
not even getting theatrical. I mean, like that Steamboat, Screamboat, that's what it was called, right?
yeah,
With
it got theatrical.
with Art the
David,
Clown.
yeah.
It was in my AMC for like 3 nights at like 10 o'clock, on it. I don't, it wasn't like it wasn't playing like all day. And if, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
yes, it was in the theaters and shit like that. So they get a little hit and stuff. But I mean, that's a genre that I don't, it's like made for Tubi rejects
For
shit.
Tubi. Yeah.
And if you bring the gore, you get away with a lot of shit. We watched a lot of fucking bad movies, and of course, and some of them beloved and stuff because they can, as long as you bring the kill and stuff. But I feel like these would look too stupid for me to even sit through to get to a kill.
Speaking of that, can we talk about a clown in a
Sure,
cornfield? Because
sure.
that is a movie that I was waiting for. Everyone was like, rubbing their dicks to it. And then I watched it, and it goes to what you just said. It's like, okay, you're gonna give me this. I need something in return. I need like fucking like you already have a clown in a movie. So immediately you're thinking like, okay, like Art the Clown, fine. All right, you want to go down this path. Like that other movie that came out, I forget the name of it, maybe like Joker. I forget the name of it. But and and then the director of Tucker and Dale, you
Sure.
know.
Love that movie.
Yeah, and I'm thinking like, okay, this is going to be good. And it wasn't bad. It just like was like I remember you telling me it, and you were the second person to say, like, yeah, you don't have to like rush to go see this. And you were right.
It's okay. I've seen a lot of okay this year. Like it was, you know what it is too with like a movie like that. I feel like they when they when they go CG too much with the kill, like if you're gonna make one of those kind of things and you're just gonna go for the kills, the plot might be a little thin. Give me some practical in there. It goes a long way with those kind of films, I feel like. And
Without a
I
doubt.
also think too that movie, I might even had like another star on that movie if I saw it. Like it had such a fall vibe going into the beginning of it, and I know in my heart of hearts, like I'm like, I'm going into the shittiest summer's gonna be around the corner. It
Well,
might have hit me a little different.
yeah, so yeah, right. That's a good point. Uh it was good, and I didn't like he was such a capable director, and the casting I thought was really good. I thought everyone in the
Hmm.
movie was really good. It just fell short. Even like that, the two dudes like curveball that they threw, it didn't seem forced.
No,
It seemed more funny. Like I'm like, okay, like that's interesting. Like not like the usual heavy-handed like let me
I
just
did have a
interject this.
yes, and I did have a feeling too. I'm like, you know what? If I was a teenager and I got together with my friends and we saw this on a Friday night and I was of that
Yeah.
teen age, I think I would have liked it more. I thought it was a good job, like aiming towards a younger audience and stuff without
Well,
being
oh,
like eye rolling.
without a doubt, because it's kind of like, okay, the newer generation of this town versus the older generation of this town.
Hmm.
Okay,
Right.
cool. I get it. But when I like by the end, I was just like, I feel like I'm 30 years too young, too old to watch this. This
Yeah.
movie reminded me of Dark Harvest, which was
Mm.
the director of Hard Candy's recent movie, which I thought was really interesting. Same thing. It was like a town, folklore, kids, all this other shit. Did you watch that?
I don't remember. I don't
Okay.
remember.
I thought it was pretty
Was
good.
Buddy Revell in that?
No, I don't think so.
That's Haunted Hayride or some shit or
Yeah,
something.
no,
Some
no.
other.
Dark Harvest was like, I think it had like a 50s vibe too, like a Pleasantville
God, I
type
don't
thing this
know. It
time. Yeah.
sounds familiar.
Yeah, I think I did it was definitely better than this movie, but yeah,
Yeah,
another disappointment. I watched Until Dawn as well.
I did too, just
Okay,
recently, actually.
cool. So let's just cross this out, and we have so much shit, but we'll cut it there, and then we'll talk summer movies because I got so much fucking stuff, and we're already at the halfway point.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so Until Dawn was kind of okay. Like in another year, it probably wouldn't have been that noteworthy, but in a year like this so far with movies, I was like, okay, this was kind of fun,
Yeah.
right?
For a movie, and I've never played the video game, and of course, whenever a movie comes out like this with that has source material, I know it's a popular video game for horror gaming fans and stuff, but like anything that comes out about a book or this, people are like, "Oh, it's nothing like this." Well, like me not knowing anything about it or the story, I thought it was a cool um you got the power kind of like was it Happy Death Day or something like that, that kind of resetting time thing going on and stuff. Thought it was a cool premise. Um, I like Pamela Adlon's daughter. I can't remember her name. I always like her. She reminds me so much of her mother. She was in the Hellraiser Abomination.
Okay.
I can't Gideon, maybe is that her first name? But
I don't remember.
she has the long curly hair. But
Okay.
I thought it was a cool premise. Also reminded me of like a little bit of waxwork, kind of like you're stuck in this thing where all these different way thrown in these different situations where something can kill you and stuff like
I
that
feel
and
like
tropes.
I feel like Karen said the same thing when we were watching it. She's like, this reminds me of Waxwork.
Yeah, like I dug that and stuff. And then I felt like I don't know what it was, but I really and I don't say this with people like, oh, that movie was so long and stuff, but man, beauty and editing. And there's nothing wrong with a tight 90. And I feel like there was a lot of loose shit that they could have tightened that up and made it a really even more solid. But I thought it was good. I thought it was fun.
Very so like the conversation we were having, right? This was actually the opposite of Clown in a Cornfield. Immediately I was like, I hate this casting. I don't like any of these people. And then it turned into something after 15 minutes and uh they gave you the violence. They gave you the kills. And the beauty of this is you have fun with this cast because you don't have to commit to killing them for real. You could just kill them over and over again, and then
Yeah.
they just reappear. So I think that's the fun part. I didn't even know it was a video game till probably after I saw it. I had no idea. So
Hmm.
for me, yeah, like I didn't know. And people, I mentioned it to someone, and they're like, "Oh, I wonder how they made that into a movie." And I'm just like, "Oh shit, goddamn ringer off." Yeah, I'm telling you, I did a update on this phone, and I've hated it. Now I don't know how to use my phone, but the violence was great.
Yeah.
I love a good time loop. It was derivative enough where it was cool, like. It reminded, it's like when you hear a song that you feel like you've heard before, but it's still good. Everything
Yeah.
about this movie felt like something else, but not too much, like, and it was just a lot of fun. Like by the end, I was like, that was super satisfying ending. And
It might be the best movie based on a video game I've ever seen, actually, because that bar is not high.
yeah, bar's not high. What else is there? I don't even know.
Well, you got your Resident Evil shit, your Silent Hill.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's a lot if I keep thinking
I,
about it, but
yeah, I hate
they're
all
all
those.
forgettable. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Cool. Yeah, Until Dawn was a cool surprise. All right, so let's talk summer movies real quick. Before we do, I guess I'll talk about The Surfer, right? You didn't see The Surfer.
I didn't. No, I
Do you
missed that
have
one.
do you have any interest?
I do, and I was gonna see it, but the week it came out, I was busy and shit, and I couldn't get to the theater.
That would
That's
have been a
up for
trip.
rental now.
Yeah, it's up for rental.
Okay.
It's from the director of Vivarium, which I loved. I don't know. Did you like Vivarium?
Oh, I don't know if I've seen that.
Oh, really?
Much
Jesse Eisenberg, and it's kind of like
hate
this.
Jesse Eisenberg. I might have
Yeah,
avoided it because of him.
yeah, it's really good. It's kind of like horror, sci-fi, and kind of
Yeah, I
nightmarish.
missed that.
Yeah, I big recommend on that one. So wow, the Surfer is just weird. It's I think it's definitely of a time, like it's kind of like if Tarantino made a movie, like that's how much the influence goes through this film. And Nicolas Cage is just like this guy whose marriage fell apart. He's trying to like bond with his son, and he's in Australia where he grew up. And then he goes to bring his son to this place where he used to surf. Only the locals there don't want him there. And then it just turns into like
Mhm.
this nightmare. It just like you're watching this movie and you don't know what's real and what isn't. And it reminds me of like Mother. Remember Mother?
Oh, I love Mother.
Aronofsky?
Loved it.
It was just like, yo, what you question everything. It's just like one of those movies, and the film that they use is just so kind of looks like hobo with a shotgun. Like everything's so like super
Yeah.
saturated. Uh like you could feel the sun in this movie, and you could feel like the insanity and the fucking weird like fucking like rituals, and it's unbelievably like me and my girlfriend watched it and she said the same thing that I did. She's like, I don't know if I understand what I just watched, but it was a lot of fun. Like so,
Okay.
yeah, it
That's
was
all I
just,
need.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Somebody, so Screen Rant posted about it, and they had the director and one of the actors on there, and I read the clip wrong. The title said, whatever the name of the director talks about why the surfer is more than about toxic masculinity. And I read it wrong. And I'm
Oh,
like, did this guy just say this movie's about and I wanted to like, I wanted to, like, it gave me the biggest douche chills. So I started watching the clip, and then the guy from Screen Rant. I'm like, first of all, who are you? Like, what?
uh,
I don't understand how human beings like this exist. Where he's like, but he's like, so this movie's about toxic masculinity and like the dangers of that. And the actor that was like in the movie laughed and turned to the director for him to answer it, and I guess that's where they got the clip. But it was just like I'm thinking like what's like, or what are you, 12 years old? Like, not even, like, what are you, like
God.
five? Oh, just
If
get,
you
but
open up your critique with that fucking phrasing,
I just
toxic
thought to myself, yeah,
masculinity, I'm already off.
not
Even if you're
even,
like saying against it, like, or it's not that, just that that buzzword shit, like fucking
it made
miss
me
me with that.
nauseous, but the thing that made me the most nauseous was him saying how dangerous it is. I was like, who talks like that? Like, you're a fucking weirdo. And then they were just like, then it kind of like went into what, the movie, and I'm thinking like, bro, like
Right.
you just like, I want to throw my phone out. But very summer centric, um
Yes.
beach, like you feel, although I didn't pick do the right thing because it's just something I didn't pick, that it's like that where you're just like, oh my god, like this is like it
Mm,
just feels like fucking summer.
wow. I'm on that
So
shit, man.
yeah,
Well,
I
yeah, that
think
was a perfect segue. But before we wrap up the segment too, I just want to say on that note, you said Australian summer, dangerous animals, great time. That's a
I
fun time.
know.
I
Okay.
definitely recommend that in a theater if you could see it. It's shark in the water and stuff on the big screen. I got a shark thing and the open water phobia and stuff, so it really hits me. But that's a lot of fun. Simple plot, super fun. And I'd regress because I'm a super fanboy and an apologist. Wes Anderson. Oh, that Venetian scheme was not good. If you thought you hated Asteroid City, Sam,
I
you'll
did.
really hate the Venetian scheme. Not good.
Um, I haven't
Michael
heard any.
Cera in a Wes Anderson movie is a hat on a hat. It's like, and I heard somebody else criticize, and I agree with this criticism. it almost feels like now it's just this guy playing with his toys in his dollhouse. So I don't know. Like I really would like to see him write a film with what Owen Wilson again. That's when
I
he did his best shit.
For me, just like the like Radiohead, the first four,
Mhm.
I'm fine with that. Um, Everything else, like I saw, and I was just like, whatever. But Asteroid City really took me out of it because I was like, what a cast! This movie
Yeah.
looks great. And 30 minutes into that movie, I was like, what the? I'm like, this is like just so. It's like it was. I got no pleasure whatsoever watching it.
Don't
So,
even press play. Don't even like pause on it on a streaming screen. Like you're
yeah.
not gonna like this. It's not good. It was a chore a bit. Got some laughs, but but anyway, I had to throw that in there. But
Uh, yeah. All right. So yeah, summer
summer
movies,
movies,
which is funny considering you and I hate the summer.
awful. And next week's gonna be like 100 degrees every day.
Well,
We've been
next
blessed so far.
we have been
I can't
blessed.
complain.
We have been blessed. Any
I will
day,
complain next week.
yeah, I will. Well, I will be in Myrtle Beach next week, and I saw like the temperatures, and
Ah,
I was just like, oh wow. All right, I see
yeah,
how it's going to be. But at least I could dip in a pool somewhat. But yeah, my
exactly.
my vacation is going to be super hot. But yeah, we're lovers of everything but summer. I do love a good nighttime summer night. But other than
With your
that, it's
radio,
just with what?
like the Van Halen song with your
Yes.
radio.
Yeah. Shout out to Van Halen. Today I was listening to the guy from Warrant talk about him. Did you watch, I guess, David Lee Roth's performance at M3?
I thought he looked good.
I
I
thought he
thought he
did great.
sounded all right.
I
I
thought
actually was. I wanted to go to the Paramount until I saw what it cost.
Okay, so and then he had like the four like black back dudes that were like backup singers. I was like,
Yeah.
that's a great move because those guys sounded great. Like I think they were doing the heavy lifting.
Oh yeah. Listen, he's a legacy. You know what I mean? And I wanted to go, but it was like for the floor without even a seat. It was like I think it was like 250 or something like that in the Paramount or something. And
Okay,
I'm
but
like,
but where did you look though? Are you going to the Paramount box office?
the uh whatever link it came off of. I don't know. Was it maybe
Yeah,
Ticketmaster or stuff? But
yeah.
I don't know. I was talking to Jeff about going to it because we're both psycho Van Halen fans. I was just like, yeah, I don't know. I don't want to spend that. I'm hoping maybe
Well,
some
that can't be
some
right.
strings, some magic strings might get pulled or something.
Yeah, yeah. That
It was
that
pricey. Maybe I saw a bad thing. I don't know. But
probably
it
because
was
I
too expensive.
I don't think that's possible. 250 for a show there. But so just out of curiosity, like when you see like let's say you see David Lee Roth, what are like three Van Halen songs? Like what are three deep cuts that you like would like to see him do?
Well, they've been doing it well, not a lot. They don't play a lot and stuff. But Mean Streets, I'm a fair warning psycho. Like that album's perfection to me because it's like was gonna be like Eddie's solo shit before it morphed into a Van Halen album. But Mean Streets is the joint. That's my favorite. I'm the one off Van Halen one. Uh Little Guitars, they never really played a lot, but I always love Little Guitars on off of Diver Down. That would be another one I'd like to hear.
So Fair Warning's your
Um,
favorite album.
Hands down.
Yeah.
That thing's got so much fucking groove in it. It's ridiculous, especially that title track, Mean Streets.
So Fair Warning is like where is that in the catalog? Because I know there's Van Halen one, two. Is it the
That
third
is
album?
their fourth record.
So
I
one,
think it's their fourth
two,
record.
Men, Women, and
One, two,
Children.
then Women and Children, and then Fair Warning, I believe. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
But
Um,
we'll see. I don't know.
let's dip into some of these like summer movies here.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, go ahead. Hit me with something that you feel is summer centric.
I'll give you one. I'm sure we both agree. Dazed and Confused. I watched it with my son. He recently because he's getting finishing up his freshman year of high school, and the last day. I mean, it gets the vibe of that last day of school. And growing up in the small town I did, it wasn't the same time period, but always gives me the same vibes as uh we would meet up at like a place that had like softball games in the parking lot, when Mitch is playing baseball and do some shit like that. Or, oh, there's a party at this fucking place. And it's just it's a summer eve for me, you know.
What does Aiden feel about that bass line in the beginning of the movie? That sweet emotion.
Loved it.
Well, yeah.
Loved it. He loved the movie too. It
Okay.
works. It's got a feel to it that's universal of time period, I feel like,
You,
of that
you know,
freedom of being young.
yeah, that's a really, I mean, that's the granddaddy kind of like for us. Like you watch that and yeah, it's one of those movies that I don't get tired of watching and it's strange because like I think it's just something that you like or you don't, right? Like I don't know, like because
Yeah.
Anthony, like The Watch, still never saw it. Like I don't know if that's something that a grown man will watch and will appreciate. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. Maybe it just doesn't hit when you're
I
like,
feel like I think it still would, because it takes you back to that feel, man. I
you know
think,
what? That's a social experiment we got to do. I got to hit him up and like, well, maybe
if
we'll
he, I
watch
wish he
that.
was coming over. I got that bitch on the 4K,
Okay.
but
Oh
he's going to
wait.
see David Tell,
Okay. All right. That makes
but
sense.
yeah.
All right. All right. So
What do you got?
I'm gonna throw in a very underrated movie that I try to champion a lot. Mentioned it on the show a couple of times. Hot Summer Nights, A24 movie, Timothy Chalamet, uh, 2017, Micah Monroe. It's just one of those movies where, kid, goes to Cape Cod. I guess his parents are like, yeah, his mom's like, you're gonna go here for the summer, and he starts selling weed with his friend, and then he has a crush on his friend's girlfriend, and it's just very fucking well goddamn done. It was one of those A24 movies that came out, had no idea it was even a thing, never heard of it, watched it on Showtime and I couldn't believe the soundtrack and how entertaining it was. And yeah, highly
Take place in a
recommend.
modern time.
Yeah, was it Modern Time? I think so. Yeah, I think so. Or maybe it was like 90.
Okay. I never heard of it.
Oh, really? Oh, you gotta
Yeah, I
watch
gotta
it.
get it on
You
there.
gotta watch. Hold
Yeah.
on. Let me find it. Let
Hot
me.
summer nights.
Hot Summer Nights. Where could you watch it? Uh, just rentals at the moment.
I mean, it sounds like a 80s fucking movie, that title, or like a Kiss album or something, or something to that effect.
These are hot,
Hot
hot,
summer.
hot summer
That's what I'm thinking
nights.
of. Oh, that's one of the worst
Uh,
songs I've ever
I mean, you could really, if you want to talk about bad
heard.
Kiss songs, there's, there's some really bad
That's
ones.
another episode.
That's another episode. He was on the Corgan podcast, Paul Stanley. The second,
I just started the Zach Wild one.
that was fun. I sent it to Jeff. I was just like, this is really entertaining. They had a really good
Does he mention
conversation.
Father Jeff?
I don't
I hope
remember.
so.
I think he mentioned Father Eddie Trink.
I
Yeah, anyway,
love.
Hot Summer Nights, man. If you
I'm
get
on
a
that.
yeah, if you get a chance, you would really it's definitely reminiscent of, like it's on par with like that other one we loved last year. Shake Shack. No,
Snack Shack.
Snack Shack, yeah. It's
Yeah,
on it's on par with that.
that was going to be a mention, but well, you just said it. Yeah, we championed that movie. I can't wait to see what that guy does next. That after Dinner in America and this, it's up
Strong
on
two for two.
it was that whole year. It was just like rental, and it's, if anybody's listening, it's up on Prime now, included in your Prime membership. So if you haven't seen Snack Shack, check it out. Um, you did mention Do the Right Thing before. I'm going to do a trifecta grouping right here. I'm going to Do the Right Thing, Kids, and The Whackness,
Okay,
because they're
I
three
I
summer in the city. What do you got? Which one?
I had the
The Whackness.
whackness. Yeah, for sure. But go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, these are three hot New York City movies that so New York City's got its own fucking summer vibe. I don't know. It's hard to describe, but you know what I'm talking about. It's just, there's something about, and especially the Whackness, 94. Like I was up in the city all the time, and the soundtrack this more when it's the when you got Benita Applebaum in the beginning when it's not, it just it takes you to a place, and they nailed that shit. And it's a really good movie too, underrated, very underrated.
Also Ben Kingsley again.
Yes, yes, Sir Ben.
So I feel like Sexy Beast was 2004. House of Sand and Fog might have been like 2006 or 7, and this
Well,
was
now I got to look
2000.
it up.
This was 2008. Man, yeah, first of all, yeah, Do the Right Thing is just when you watch a movie and like you just feel the sweat, just like kind of the
Mhm.
pressure, like that fucking like hot ass like Brooklyn fucking summer where you're hanging out, you're like, oh my God, it's so goddamn hot right now.
You can
Uh
feel the heat coming off the sidewalk, man.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
you can feel it in the screen. I got that 4K on the way. I can't wait to see the colors pop on that shit. That's a
like
beautiful looking movie.
like when you see Sweet Dick Willie and his boys sitting around that table talking. They call me
Sexy
Sweet Dick
Beast
Willie.
2000.
Oh wow. Holy shit, 2000. That makes
Yeah.
sense. Because that was still a rental. Like I remember that was like a rental. I'm thinking like, okay, sick. Like because you read that.
Ben
Uh,
Kingsley was hot off of Cleaver. Oh no, he passed on Cleaver.
Packed lever. Shout out to Chris Moltisanti. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Baldwin
Click.
took him to acting school. 2003, House of Sand and Fog.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Don't pay
Yeah.
attention to me.
But yeah, that's my New York summer trifecta right there.
I'm gonna add to that. I'm gonna add to that with
Okay.
the movie Clockers. I think Clockers is another one of those.
Mm, I haven't
Uh,
seen that in years.
The score. Oh, wow. So I try to do that once a year. So that was the Scorsese Spike Lee connection. And I mean, Spike Lee really had some bangers, like I think
Fuck yeah.
Crooklyn, Clockers, those in particular. But man, Clockers was just like, speaking of Chris Moltisanti, he was in there. Michael
Yep, yep,
Imperioli,
sure.
um, just I guess just the solving of a murder. Somebody gets shot. They think it's Mekhi Phifer, uh,
Mhm.
and it's just you know drug dealing,
And
and
got one of the greatest hip hop songs of all time, The Return of the Crooklyn Dodgers.
that's
Fucking
right.
that track
Yeah,
fucking bangs.
yeah.
Still in the rotation all the time.
You haven't seen that in a while, huh?
Not in a while, man.
Yeah,
I
it's
gotta
it's
get on that.
it's one of those movies that I try to watch because it makes me feel. I think it just makes me feel like.
Selling drugs again.
I think it's just maybe it's like a time warp into a time that was kind of like fun. I guess
Sure.
like the further away you get from like a certain time period, the more some of these things like give you that like little bit of it's like let me drop in this time frame for a minute real quick,
Yeah. It's a
Yeah.
fucking time machine, man. And the good movies, the ones that stand out and you remember and shit, they nail that fucking aspect of it, you know?
All right, so two, what's give me a couple more.
Well, we talked Friday the 13th. I already mentioned that. I'd be remiss to not say One Crazy Summer
Yeah, yeah.
with John Cusack. Uh, man, so many good fucking laughs in that movie that still hit, even though I've heard the jokes a million times.
Doesn't matter.
Steve Holland had what an interesting lane that was too short, you know?
Like
Better off dead in this.
it's when movie is funny when even like dumb shit makes you laugh. Like
Yeah.
when they're on the beach and Bill Murray's brothers like, they forget him and they buried up in the sand, and then some like fat person like puts like a chair on his head and then starts eating beans at the beach for some
Like
like
a
it.
can of beans, like industrial size for like a
Yeah.
mess hall feeding the army. You have like
Yeah.
a bucket of beans.
Um, yeah, that's the type of stupidity that you love, Curtis Armstrong.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, Bobcat Goldthwait in a Godzilla outfit.
Yeah.
one of the best, 80s villains. Also,
Oh yeah.
one of the best 80s montages, like when they're fucking like building the sailboat.
Yes.
Demi Moore playing that guitar terribly, like not even trying to learn whatever the chord was that she was supposed to be playing.
No,
I
that's Bond.
love One Crazy Summer, yeah.
It's so good. It's so good. If
Um,
you haven't seen it, I mean, come on.
I'm gonna go with the obvious. I think Point Break is one of those movies that the older I get, the more I appreciate the perfection. Like it's one of the greatest action movies of all time. When you're watching, when was the last time you watched Point Break?
Long time.
Oh man, you gotta, yo, I think that's up
No,
on Prime.
I'm
So
taking notes.
you're watching them jump out of a plane and uh you see, I mean, Joe Blow did a recent video on it, like how they do it, like they're kind of like held up, but it
Hmm.
looks like they're fucking skydiving. Like every bit of action in this movie, even the ending when the guy wipes out in that big wave, they just hired someone to wipe out in a gigantic fucking wave.
Yeah.
Um, just when Lori Petty ruled the world, she was just she had a strong 4 years. Uh, Gary Busey was coherent.
Yeah, that's a long time ago.
For
I feel
sure.
like he's been this forever now, you
Yeah, I
know?
mean, 1990 was a long time ago for sure.
Yeah.
It's just great. Like, once again, surfing, bank robberies. These guys only rob banks. I guess they figure they only rob banks in the summer and then they disappear.
Hmm.
It's really, I mean, Anthony Kiedis, the guy from Cyborg, it's fucking star-studded. Um, yeah, just great. One of the greatest action movies of all time. And the older we always talk about like these green screens and how these action movies go.
Yeah.
Then you go back to the essence and you watch this and you're like, fuck. You're like, this is
They hit
like
harder now
it just
because you're
hit.
always like, they had no, when and you remind yourself, they had no way to do
Yeah,
that shit
yeah.
this new way,
It it
This was the
hits.
real deal.
Trust me, it fucking hits harder. So, give me. I guess we'll do two more.
All right. I'm gonna go Summer of '84. I
Oh
like to
wow.
watch.
Yeah, yeah.
As far as a little deeper cut there. Another movie that gives you the kind of that feel of being a kid, riding your bike out out in the evening and shit back in the day when your parents could just let you do that and stuff. Uh, that movie, that's not like I have a summer watch list I keep on IMDb, and every season I have it for every season and shit like that. So I'm due to rewatch this again, but like I feel like more people should see it. And Le Matos, I believe, did the soundtrack. The same guys that did like Turbo Kid and shit like that, which I think we're getting a Turbo Kid 2 this year.
Cool.
But great summer vibe in that shit. And if we're only doing two more, I'm gonna piggyback on that because I got the Blu-ray. I watched Summer School, Mark
Oh
Harmon,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
still funny.
yeah. Um, is that your last one, or you said you're going to piggyback?
No, I got it. I got another
Okay, cool.
one.
Are you going to mention Revenge of the Return of the Living Dead by any chance?
That would have been a possible mention, so go right ahead.
All right, so I'm going to mention it. July 3rd. You always see it in that fucking. You always see it like plastered on there, and it's just when you talk, what the best zombie movie of all time. You want to debate that? Sure, we could have that debate. This is probably the most fun zombie movie with the most rewatchability.
Yeah.
It's just unbelievably entertaining. Like every part, every person in this fucking movie, every scene, everything about it. Like it's never something that you get tired of watching. The pacing is perfect.
Oh yeah,
The
it
ending
gets
is
right
just,
to it.
yeah, the ending is like fucking perfect. and
Yeah. Soundtrack fun.
I'm looking forward to being disappointed in whatever incarnation gets put out this year.
Yeah.
I think they're it's a direct sequel. So that to me is the appealing part where I
Right.
wonder where they would take it. I just don't know in this day and age with them, who knows what the budget is, and just that scope just seems like too big to do on a lower budget.
Are
And
they calling it Return of the Living Dead? But are
I
they
don't know.
doing like Halloween 2018 was the same title, just Halloween, but it took place the night after.
I
So
don't
are they
know.
giving? Yeah, I'm curious.
I
Or
don't know,
would
but
part three?
Tarman, yeah, Tarman's in it, and it's just
You got it.
basically like the next day or like right after or whatever the fuck it is, and it's like I said, that's the appeal, right? Like you're
Huh.
like, oh, cool, let's figure out where to go from here. But
I
so
used to frown at a lot of remakes and shit like that, but I got this stuff there. I always have the original to watch. They can remake it all they want, and I hope they do a good job with it.
yeah, me too.
And
Yeah,
if they
yeah,
don't, I still have this one. Whatever, no
yeah,
harm, no
yeah.
foul.
Well, like I said, I just want to see the continuation of the story. So,
Hmm.
all right, give me your last one.
Last one, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Does it
Yeah.
typically have like summer in the title? Summer, no. But if a movie doesn't make you feel hot and sweaty and uncomfortable more than this one, I don't know what to
Yeah.
tell you.
Yeah,
It's disgusting.
you could smell that movie. I'm gonna go. My last one's going to be a curveball. I was gonna say Weekend at Bernie's, but I'll do something different.
Ooh.
Something that makes me feel like when all is bad in the world, you know.
Which it is.
Sure. I mean, you could definitely say everything seems to be completely not going in the
On
best,
fire. Yeah.
not, not in the best direction whatsoever. I watch Heavy Metal Parking Lot, and for those like
Yeah.
17 minutes. I think to myself, this it's like a mental reset. Like where I think to myself, whoever filmed this ridiculousness is a genius because every part of like it's such a genuine thing before people were like before Instagram or like people like putting on a persona or whatever. It's like you go to this parking Judas Priest parking lot in Maryland and you talk to everyone there that's I mean borderline retarded kind of. Like I genuinely don't know how this was the parking lot. Like I can't imagine 90% of the people this person talked to even made it past the first band because everyone was so fucking
Yeah.
intoxicated on I don't know what that it's like, how did you
Anything.
even make it to the headliner? But it's just a lot of
My
fun.
favorite part is when he calls Madonna a dick still.
Oh yeah, yeah,
That
yeah.
line is just so
Z
great. But you might
Zebra man.
say it's a bunch of people living in the moment, not a cell phone in sight, Sam. Am I right?
Yes, absolutely. Yes,
As the meme told us.
you've said it all. But I love like just what was it like we were me and Karen were watching it and there was these two guys that were like I guess they were like maybe like service people or wanted to be army navy whatever and then they were like how old are you he's like 21 the other guy was 19 and we laughed because they looked like they were 42 like it was just unbelievable the other guy has the shirt it's like kill them all let God sort them out and
Oh yeah, that was popular.
the other guy was like
Yeah, the
20.
Soldier of Fortune magazine in the front seat of his IROC.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And he was just like, I'm 21, he's 19. I'm like, how is that possible? How is that even allowed? How do you look like this? The girl that wanted to like jump Rob Halford's bones, the fucking the star of the show. You could say Zebra Man's the star of the show, but
Hmm.
goddamn, that Eddie, no, not Eddie Money, that fucking Steve who's the guy from Journey?
Steve Perry.
Steve, yo, that Steve Perry dude with the 101 shirt, he's the real star of the movie, I think. He's just like he's so fucking funny and he's just like talking about Rob How just unbelievable. So for me, tailgating and all that other stuff, festival, summer shows, this is if you appreciate that universe This is just such a great 17-minute thing to watch to just like be like, holy shit, man, what a time to be alive for these people, and I'm so glad I can go back and watch it. Yeah.
We talked about Vinegar Syndrome on the last episode, just to say how awesome Vinegar Syndrome is. They have a remastered disc. They, if you want it with the sleeve jacket, they're worth like $80 on eBay now.
Oh
But
wow.
Heavy Metal Parking Lot remastered on disc. That's how awesome Vinegar Syndrome is.
Well, you've
I don't
said
have
it
it.
all.
We have.
All
All
right,
right.
I'm going on vacation, and then we'll do another show when
Yeah.
I get back, and that's it, man. Rock and roll.
Word. Later.
Bye bye.